Born on October 21st, 1919, to Ruth and Grover Doty, Claude Eugene Doty was the second eldest of 15 children. He grew up in Greenwood, Indiana, a small city of fewer than 2,000 inhabitants. As a teenager, he spent much of his time playing basketball for Center Grove junior high and high schools. After completing his second year at Center Grove High School, Claude began working for Noble & Sparks Industries, a growing business that specialized in the manufacturing of household items and vehicle parts. In 1941, he married Mary Louise York. They had one child, Donald Eugene Doty. Prior to entering military service, Doty was already contributing to the war effort. He, along with two of his brothers, continued working for Noble & Sparks Industries as the Greenwood plant transitioned its production line to manufacture bombs, radio equipment, and anti-tank mine parts for the U.S. military when World War II began. Private Claude Doty was drafted by the Army and entered service in 1944. He spent 17 weeks in training at the Infantry Replacement Training Center in Camp Landing, Florida. On furlough, Private Doty visited his family and young son for the last time before being sent overseas in August of 1944. Once in Europe, Private Doty spent several weeks in a replacement depot, awaiting his turn to join the war effort. Often called the orphans of the Army, those in the replacement depots most often had not had the opportunity to develop strong relationships with the men around them. Missing his family and likely very homesick, Claude wrote home to his parents in mid-September of 1944, asking about his wife and son. His letter ends with the words, "There isn't very much I can say, but I hope to see all of you soon. So be good and take care of yourselves, and I will do the same." 1 month after writing to his parents, Claude joined others of the 29th Infantry Division, 116th Infantry Regiment, as a member of the Cannon Company. Those in the Cannon Company operated 105mm cannons, weapons that were used in the support of men fighting on the front lines. While staying in Limburg, Holland, Private Doty helped with the 29th Infantry Division's diversionary campaign to keep the Germans out of the country. As men were quickly rotated in and out of the front, they were offered several days' rest in local towns. Private Doty celebrated his 25th birthday with several other soldiers and a Dutch family, who were kind enough to make him a birthday cake out of rationed goods. His last birthday was spent not surrounded by family, but by those who had come to appreciate Private Doty for his bravery and resilience. Private Doty's participation in the war occurred during a trying time for the Allied armies. The men of the 29th Infantry Division were forced to live outside in dangerous conditions, which were said to be some of the worst ever experienced by U.S. soldiers during World War II. They were exposed to trench foot, extreme temperatures, and harsh winter conditions. On November 16th, 4 days prior to Private Doty's death, the 116th Infantry broke through a portion of the enemy's lines. As the Germans retreated to the Roer River, the 29th Infantry Division moved forward, fighting for each inch of land tenaciously. The day of Private Claude Eugene Doty's death, rain poured out of the sky, drenching the ground as the 29th Infantry Division made its advance forward. It was a moment of poor luck and timing that Private Doty perished, as on this day there were so few casualties. He and 3 other men of the Cannon Company were struck by enemy artillery on November 20th, 1944. Private Doty left behind loving parents and siblings, as well as a wife and child. His son, who was not yet a year old, inherited his father's Purple Heart Medal, which Private Doty earned for his sacrifice during the war. Mary Louise Doty passed on her husband's memory to their son, ensuring that Private Doty's words and kindness would not be lost. Remembered for his devotion to his wife and son, as well as his courage during the war, the life of Private Claude Eugene Doty is not forgotten. His surviving family members continue to share Private Doty's memory, knowing that his story deserves to be cherished by any and all who hear it.